What's up, y'all? Will here at Schedulefly, and I want to add a special note to the beginning of this episode because when we recorded this episode with George and Amanda at Vicious Biscuit, we talked about the hospitality industry being so collaborative and so many people helping each other and sort of this rising tide lifts all boats mentality. And I got to witness that occur that very evening. So we were in Charleston where Vicious Biscuit is headquartered. And this is just such a cool story. I wanted to share it. So one of the people that we had on this podcast recently, his name's Tyler Kotch, and he's with Pi Za in Asheville, North Carolina, and Charlotte, North Carolina, and he's looking to grow his concept, grow his brand. And I recommended that he listen to the first episode from a year ago that we did with George and Amanda, because I told him, I said, these are two of the smartest operators that I've come across. They're local. They're great people. I think you'd really enjoy their episode. So we listened, and he said, that's exactly the kind of business I want to build. I'd love to meet them. Well, we worked that into Tyler coming down to Charleston as well when I was there. And Tyler and George and Amanda and I went to dinner after the episode at Hall's Chop House. Just by the way, Hall's Chop House is going to be on this podcast soon, and I can't wait. Legendary place in Charleston, has several locations now. Greatest customer experience you'll find anywhere, I think. So Tyler met us at dinner, and George and Amanda sat there and did exactly what we talked about on this episode, which is they coached, listened, gave advice, helped nudge him in directions they thought he needed to consider, had him reconsider certain things, talked about everything. I mean, George was talking to him, he was breaking down lease negotiation. Amanda's talking about FDDs, and it was just so helpful to Tyler. And it's actually the kind of conversations that I wish so badly that we had them mic'd up. I was just sitting there listening, and it was just amazing. All the great advice and wisdom they were sharing with him. And he took so much out of that. I was so excited to get to know them now. And now, they'll be mentors to him. So I'm telling you this because it's a great story, and it just shows that George and Amanda do what they say. And it's also the type of interaction that we want to start nudging more at Restaurant Owners Uncorked and creating environments for those types of interactions. So we're going to be taking this from this 15-year podcast that's just a podcast with so much great content and turning Restaurant Owners Uncorked into more of a media business. Years ago, we've written 2 books called Restaurant Owners Uncorked on Amazon. We self-published one in 2010. We did another in 2017. Those things sold 25,000 copies or more collectively. I haven't even looked in a long time. They're still selling. If you go to schedulefly.com and click stories, you'll see links to those books, but you'll also see videos. And for several years, and the last one was 8 years ago, we were making films about the best stories that we came across. And we're going to start doing that again. Film is such a wonderful medium for sharing great stories. If you go to schedulefly.com, click stories, go watch the story of Sup Dogs. You'll never forget it. It's the most memorable story we've ever told. And we're going to be doing more of that. We're also going to have, we're going to turn Restaurant Owners Uncorked, as I said, into a media business. Forums for restaurant owners to interact, share ideas, help each other, have people like Amanda and George do webinars that, are designed for a specific topic like lease negotiations or like working on your FDD or whatever it is. Amanda's great about talking about tech stacks and the importance of getting that right early as you scale. So there's just so many opportunities for us to have people that are the best at what they do, help people that are learning. There is so much content that we've created that can be repurposed in so many ways. So stay tuned about that. That is our vision for Restaurant Owners Uncorked. I mean, we will probably have conferences one day, right? Like we're going all in on creating a really amazing media business for restaurant owners that to help both inspire other owners and advise other owners and share wisdom and tips and knowledge and tools they use to be successful. So stay tuned on that. What a wonderful opportunity to have George and Amanda from Vicious Biscuit back on again. You're going to love this episode. We're really proud to be able to produce it here at Restaurant Owners Uncorked. Thanks for listening. All right. What is up, y'all? Will here with Schedulefly, and this is the Restaurant Owners Uncorked podcast brought to you by us here at Schedulefly. Super simple web-based restaurant employee scheduling software backed by legendary customer service. Like my personal cell phone is right there on that website, schedulefly.com, on 3 pages, and you can call it or you can text me, and it will come to my flip phone, and I will love to talk to you about Schedulefly. And we also have a low price point. We bootstrapped this business 18 years ago, never took on venture capital, no private equity, never raised our prices. So simple software, great service, low price point, and you can do a 30-day free trial. So head on over to schedulefly.com, call me, text me, sign up for the free trial. There are hundreds of thousands of restaurants out there that are still on pencil and paper. If y'all are listening, or you're on Excel, or you're on Google Sheets, make life easier for the owner, the manager, definitely your staff. It's an employee benefit to have this on their phone and not be running around trying to figure out when they're working. And that is it. That's all I want to say about Schedulefly, because I am so jacked up to do this episode today. This is part 2 of the Vicious Biscuit story. We did our first episode. I posted it around September of last year. We probably recorded it in August in Charlotte, and a lot has changed with this brand. So fortunately, I got to come down to Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. I'm sitting here in the headquarters, the world headquarters of Vicious Biscuit. Once again, sitting here with George and Amanda. So thank y'all for doing this.
Well, thank you for coming down.
Thank you for having us.
And I have to, I'm so glad I get to say this in person. You made the most amazing comment about this podcast on Zach Oates' podcast. I mean, I'm not kidding. I welled up when I listened to it, and it meant so freaking much what you said. So I just wanted to thank you personally for saying that and for being a listener, both of y'all.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.
All right, y'all. You've had a heck of a last 14 months since we last talked. At the time, at the time you still had all corporate owned. You were just getting ready to open.
We just opened Akron.
Was it just Akron
weeks.
Had just opened?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it was just a couple of weeks.
Okay.
And then what do we have? I guess we had Akron open. And then
We had open Akron. We had opened Columbia, South Carolina, I think about 6 weeks before we came on your podcast. And we had...
But those are the franchise.
One is franchise.
I was going to say Akron was the first franchise, right?
That's correct.
Okay. I remember.
Yep.
Okay.
And we had opened Columbia just prior to that opening, which is corporate owned, Columbia, South Carolina.
Yeah.
And then we had one under construction in Gonzales, Louisiana, which opened in October of 24. And then we opened Hattiesburg, Mississippi in March of 2025. So we currently have 3 franchise open, 7 corporate open, and we are about to open in Fishers, Indiana in December of 2025.
In December of 2025. And then next year is going to be a lot.
It's going to be a whirlwind. We probably have easily 10 following that. We have all 3 of our original franchisees working on their second location. And then out of those 3, the remaining 10 franchisees that we've signed are all in development, drawing, or real estate search. So, yeah, it's been an interesting ride, to say the least. Getting through and finding real estate and getting these guys started. We've been very patient about it. The one thing we didn't want to do is just shoot this thing out of a cannon. Be very methodical and patient with our franchisees, because look, our number one goal as the franchisor is to make sure that our franchisees are super successful. Yeah. And I've said this from day one. We really launched the franchising and awarded the first franchisees at the end of 2023. I said, I want partners, not franchisees. We don't need to be a brand that just races to the finish line, opens up a bunch of locations and sells it. We're, just like we said to you back in September, I mean, we want to be a legacy brand.
Yeah.
Legacy brands take time.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of franchise carnage out there that gives restaurants bad names because they try to open up too quick without the support, without the true SOPs and the direction to how to be successful, and they fail quickly. And that's not what I wanted to have happen to Vicious, because we're very passionate about our brand, and we want to protect it by finding the right partners, not just franchisees in the business. So make it a legacy brand for our kids to follow in our footsteps. So.
And you have how many franchisees?
We have 13.
13.
We're talking to a few more, but we have said no to a heck of a lot.
I was going to say, I mean, you have a lot of people coming to you. You're not out.
We're not out there advertising for franchising.
Yeah.
We first started that just to get it started, but all the ones that we signed were ones that were interested in franchising Vicious before we ever launched franchising. And so we've had some pretty large groups come in, and as an emerging brand, which we are past that emerging stage, they found us and loved us. They've either experienced the brand. Only one franchisee that we have, who is arguably just killing it right now in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, found us on social media. And so...
Oh, really? I thought that must have been like somebody you knew or something.
No, funny enough, he'd even know who I was.
Okay.
And then we started talking, and I still quote Cliff today, because in our second call that we were talking about the brand, he asked me, could Vicious come from Charleston to Mississippi? And I said, Cliff, you got to remember, I took McAllister's from Jackson, Mississippi to Columbia, South Carolina, with not a single location near us within 400 miles. And we, within 6 months, were the number one franchise location. And then he told me a story 45 minutes later that his 9-year-old son was sitting in his kitchen, and, it was his birthday, it was spring break, and so they had to have his birthday celebration that weekend at the end of spring break. And he said, I had 6 9-year-olds in my kitchen, and his wife said, hey, I'm going to make you kids beignets this morning, and do you know what beignets are? And one of the kids was like, yeah, we love beignets. We just had them during spring break. And she was like, well, you down in New Orleans? She's like, no, we were in Boone, and we found this restaurant our second day there and fell in love with it and ate there the remaining 4 days we were in Boone, and it was called Vicious Biscuit. And I said, Cliff, do you hear what you just asked me 45 minutes ago with this brand travel? Our best brand ambassador is standing in your kitchen. And
That's
he's
amazing.
like, I guess that was a stupid question. Now, of course, his brother dogged him out for it afterwards, and since then, I mean, arguably maybe close to 1,000 inquiries of franchising. Really? And we have a very systematic approach to it. I do a founder's call. I interview them and see who they are, what they are.
You do all those calls?
I do. I've talked to a lot of people.
Golly, I was going to say, who's screening all this for you?
We had a group that we tried at first to come in and help us build it,
Yeah.
and we gave them about a year test run to see if they could run our franchise department. And we quickly said, hey, you're not what our culture is, and we're not trying to sell this to anybody and everybody, so we don't need you. So we, thanks to Amanda and her team, they really built out the franchise company on our own. And then from there, the biggest compliment we get when we have very experienced franchise operators that have multi-units. I mean, we just had a discovery day with a group that's signing on, and I mean, they signed on immediately. He was a 40-year veteran in the restaurant business, been involved in a lot of franchises, some very big ones, created 2 of them. And midway through that discovery day, 2 hours into it, he said, okay, look, you guys stop. You mean to tell me you only have 10 locations open and you're this far advanced? And I was like, yes. I said, I didn't want to live through the nightmares of an emerging brand that I lived through when I was 23, when we started the franchise at McAllister's, and we weren't ready, and it darn near almost killed us. And it stalled out growth. I said, we got to do this right. Let's make the investment. Let's get the systems in place. And, Amanda, with her high-tech background, came in, and she saw the side of it that we said we got to get all the systems in place from, the inventory register systems all the way down to now she created our own first party app that launched 9 weeks ago and
August.
has taken off, and it's amazing.
You created it?
No, just the implementation of it. It was a 2-year effort in terms of the business case and just RFPs on vetting what technology companies we were going to utilize for both the online ordering platform and what was going to be the loyalty engine, and how could we differentiate ourselves from loyalty from all the other brands that were out there, because the market's so oversaturated with loyalty. The market's oversaturated with apps. So how are we going to differentiate ourselves, use that as an incremental channel, and market it in a way that the online off-premise channel was in itself its own vicious experience? So it took a lot of architecture and design over a period of time before we actually implemented it. And then once you know what you want to develop, how do you implement it? How do you build it? How do you have the creative for it? How do you test it? How do you teach the team how to utilize it? How do you brand it? How do you market it? It's been a long journey, but we released it officially August 12th of this year. So I'm not supposed to share many metrics around it, but we have far exceeded both our acquisition as well as our retention and redemption rate as well. So it's been hugely successful.
If the market's oversaturated with apps and loyalty, like what are the things that you're doing different to stand out?
Yeah, so what we did, so number one, what you see with most emerging brands is they often tack on their loyalty to their point of sale. I was on a call earlier today talking about it, something that's dollar for dollar, something that's transactional. But there's two sides to that, right? Chick-fil-A, Starbucks, they do apps, they do loyalty very, very well, but it does come at a high cost. And when your franchise as your growth vehicle, you have to consider what is the discount rate, what are the costs that are going to be associated with that. So we knew that was not a path forward for us. We're also not a discount brand. So it was, how do we provide loyalty? And the purpose for the loyalty wasn't to join forces with the rest of the masses of the restaurant world, but it was used in a way that we could ascertain all of this data. Who is our consumer? What is their behavior? What drives them to come back? What drives incremental check average? How do we increase frequency? Can we market different limited time offerings and different promotions off premise than we can for the dine-in experience? So there were all different modalities as to why we did it. So in doing that, as an emerging brand, though, you have to not just have the rewards program to differentiate yourself. You need all of the systems behind it to make that go. So for us, for loyalty, it was more about what can we deliver to the guest experience, both in-store as well as offline, differentiate them and reward them differently. So for us, there's no discounts associated with being a loyalty member, but we do count your transactions in a way that's dollar for point, and then you can redeem those for entrees, for even our signature OJ, merchandise, things that we know guests would want to engage with and have redemption of. But the other component was, how do we attract more dine-in? So we did things like everybody else with the birthday treats, but we also offer something that most do not. So during the week, we offer a free biscuit to use with our jam bar, which is something that is a differentiator for us. Guests can come in, so instead of going to Starbucks for their coffee, come to Vicious Biscuit. You get an a la carte biscuit to enjoy with our jam bar at no cost to them. So that's been helping drive the incremental dine-in traffic, which historically right now in the industry is well down. So that was something that the guests have really been enjoying, and we've had a lot of redemption around. The other component is we tied it to catering. So our catering customers, we had just launched a catering program, so just one of the other features that we did this year. Before 2025, our catering was only ordered if you called into the restaurant or you walked into the restaurant. There was no mechanism, aside from Easy Cater that was implemented last year, to order online. So it was frictionful, not frictionless. So we launched a new catering program, catering menu, knowing there was a need in the segment. We did set through Olo, so it's all guest-facing, all first-party, fully integrated with Easy Cater. It's been great for the teens. We've seen tremendous lift year over year just in catering alone. But what we did is we tied it to loyalty. So the gatekeeper is rewarded for their transaction, and it's just another way to offer and thank them. Thanks for this order, $800,000, and they receive those points that they can frequent and use for their family. So everything is really just centered around the product and the experience at Vicious.
Okay, all right. So far, so good.
Fantastic.
It's been
Fantastic.
incredible, and I know she will not let me talk about the numbers.
No.
So I guess I'm going to just talk about how to make a biscuit.
Okay, so you guys have done an incredible job early on with your tech. What are the brands that you mentioned? And I think you mentioned Chick-fil-A earlier too. Are these brands that you learn a lot from? What do you try to model this after, or who do you try to model this after, if anybody?
The QSR brand. I mean, I think it's really a hybrid of all of the places that our team is from, and it's very diverse, right? It's just, when you think about the fast casual model, it's obviously George's background. Some of our operators come from Chick-fil-A, so you have just the efficiency and throughput, and there's a focus on culture just from that brand. I only mentioned Starbucks because Sean Sweeney is our fractional CIO who helps develop the loyalty program with me, and he was part of the iteration of the Starbucks Rewards program and app. He was a VP of innovation at Starbucks. So, we bring in the right people at the right time that have done it before, have the metrics and the baseline and the knowledge on how to do so and the skill set, and then we just take it from there to scale it. So it's a hybrid of all different best-in-class experiences.
One of the things I've noticed, like Starbucks went so far digital, slapping on, like they stopped writing the name. Everything became, and I mean, you drive by a Starbucks and then everything went drive-through, and there's 30 cars in line, and it became so
transactional.
Yeah, in a business that has soul and that is people-oriented, and there's a confluence of the right amount of tech and the right amount of, Chick-fil-A's got it figured out, I think, pretty darn well, like the right amount of people and what that ultimate experience is like for the guests. It's such a fine line and such a narrow path, I think, to get that right, to have enough tech, but then also to have the culture and the people experience. That just seems like, I think of that as an outsider looking in at what y'all are doing, and it's very impressive because it seems to me like that's a very hard thing to do very well and execute on it in a franchise model as you grow, and to get everybody bought into that and figure that out. That's some alchemy that's, it's not easily attained.
Yeah, I mean, it's teaching the old dog new tricks for me. I mean, I've been through conferences for the last 30 years, and it's kind of funny because I used to speak at them 2 years ago, and now it all went to tech. And just recently we were in a conference in Austin where Amanda was on a panel with 4 other people that one had 500 units, the other was 300, one was over 100, and there she was with 10, and they just looked at her like she cured cancer, and they couldn't believe that we just said, okay, now's the time to do it, because once you're that big, it's hard to implement. However, I will say that the relief to me is the last 2 years of going to conferences, it was all tech. And now you're starting to see people come back to, hey, it's still hospitality. You still, guests want to get out and have an experience. And, there's different generations, of course, that really use the tech. But there's still us old guys in the room that want to go out and experience hospitality and, have the entertainment. We're still in the entertainment business. And I think that the ones like you just talked about, Starbucks, who've gotten away from that hospitality, knowing that barista, knowing that, them knowing your name and writing it on the cup and knowing your order when you walk up. Now it's all transactional. That will hurt companies if they just focus on tech. And I was just in one in Charlotte, actually. I won't name names, but it was a recreation of a brand that they were considering themselves an emerging brand. I walked in and I was like, what are all these kiosks? And they were like, well, we believe this is the new generation. And I'm like, well, you're forgetting the other generations. There's nothing worse to me when I'm traveling and I stop at the same, raceway that has McDonald's in it. And I'm just trying to get in there and get a coffee. And it takes me 15 minutes to try to figure out the board.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I just want to walk up and say, may I have a large coffee?
Yeah.
So it's a fine line.
Well, it's also hard because labor's expensive, and labor's more expensive than ever, and minimum wage rates keep going up, and depending on what your state you're in. I was just talking to somebody in Florida, and they've gone from like $6 an hour, and it's going up $1 a year every year to $15 an hour.
It is.
Like
just happened.
That's hard.
September.
Like that. So that's why it's. But I look at a Chick-fil-A. There's like an employee per customer almost. It seems like it. Like they've certainly figured out how to turn that dial the right way, because that is a great experience. There's no doubt about it. I mean, it's like almost every single time you go.
Well, they took all their dining room employees and put them in the drive-thru.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just at a Chick-fil-A the other day, and they don't use their dining room. It is all takeout boxes.
Yeah,
and some can go back to it and some haven't. But when you're doing $8 or $9 million out of a drive-thru that's 3 lanes and, it's covered and there's air conditioner blowing down on them, and it's the new world right now. So,
well, it's interesting because the generation, I mean, my kids are this way, everything's on the phone and everything's app based and all that kind of stuff. But they're starting to realize, even we know, but even they're starting to go, man, this is too much. Like they don't have communication skills. They don't have like interpersonal skills. They don't like that. And so I think that it's good. I'm glad to hear. I don't like to go to conferences, and so I don't go.
Right.
I'm glad to hear that. I mean, tech's great. I have a tech company. It's great. You need some. But again, it's a balance. It's such a balance. I don't think that hospitality has been around forever. It'll be around forever. And you can bring in AI and all the tech you want, but if you don't have real people with real intention and real smiles and real eye contact and, real real validation that the person matters, I mean, it's just not, I don't see how that's sustainable. Like, you don't create a legacy business.
No, you don't. I mean, you just redevelop the vending machine model, in my opinion. So
absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, we're, like I said, it's great to go to these conferences and you're seeing them saying, and one of the guys said at the conference, he goes, look, as much tech as I can put in here, we still got to back up tech with hospitality.
Yeah.
Because tech will fail, but there's also those people that just say, you know what, for once I want to put down my phone and I want to interact with a human. And so that's why I'm still a firm believer that, we're still a hospitality-driven brand, even though Amanda's app has really lifted sales incredibly. They're not replacement sales. They're true. It's incredible to see.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, we just had an ops meeting right here in this room yesterday. And it's, we have to say to our director of operation, our operators, like, guess what? Now you have to adapt because sales are up double digits. And how do you get the team to get behind it and get excited about it? And we say, look, guys, this is y'all's chance to make more money and grow faster and, enjoy it. Because there's nothing worse than being in the restaurant business when it's slow.
Yeah.
And when it's busy with all the sales that she's generating through those restaurants now, they're like, wow, the day goes by so much faster. And
well, you're clearly figured out something, y'all, because there's not a lot of people I'm talking to right now that are having like growth and great years. And I mean, there's a lot of headwinds facing this industry right now.
I used to say there was a lot of that for us. I think our challenge is still real estate because there's just a backlog of it. But now all the new development that's coming out, the real estate pricing is still just absurd. So I am very patient. I say no a lot. And I personally look at every location. I mean, I was just flying back from Oxford, dropped down into Auburn to look at our franchisee site there on Sunday. And I said, these economics work. I mean, because like I said, my number one goal as a franchisor is to make sure they're very successful. Because
you have all this data that helps inform your real estate decisions, but you still look at every.
You got to.
Yeah. Why is that?
I mean, she'll give you the intelligent answer, but I will tell you, I'll give you the old school answer is it can tell us where we should be, but you still have to, you gotta step on that property. You gotta look around. You gotta go and talk to the other restaurant managers and ask them, hey, what is your daytime really like? Like, who are the people? And it's just one of the many tools we use in choosing the location. And there's nothing better than touch and feel and, really see what's happening in the market.
Well, once again, we're marrying great tech with
Right.
human intuition.
The tech that she has that is in kind of, I guess, the algorithm that you've created through Placer tells us, okay, now I'm not driving around for 2 days looking for a location. I say this all the time. They hear it every time in a discovery day with the franchisees. I was like, we take a rifle approach, not a shotgun approach anymore.
Yeah, okay.
And now we can really see, because the joke is, and I think I said this to you a year ago, when you go to a restaurant conference and they always talk about real estate and they say, your real estate broker will always say to you, do you know where the number one Walmart is? Right across from your location. And that's been the ongoing joke for 30 years. Now we can truly see it, real-time data, the sales, the traffic flow, and all that. But you still got to touch it. You got to be on site and get a good feel for it. And look, data's not always perfect.
It's not.
Nothing is. So it's just one of the few metrics we use before you choose a location.
Do you have challenging conversations with franchisees that are like itching to go? And
oh gosh, yeah. And I always say be patient. I mean, our franchise agreement allows a lot longer leeway to open a location than normal. I mean, we're fortunate that we have successful restaurants and we don't have to just keep opening restaurants to fuel the beast of, all the support staff that we've hired. And, we've said in the past that the tech, actually was the gentleman who was here for Discovery Day a week and a half ago. He's like, you guys could open 1,000 locations tomorrow with the tech and the technology you have back and your business and how your operations and the systems you have in place and the people you have ready to help go open locations. And I'm like, that's great. I just want to make my life a little bit easier and know that I can sleep better at night, because every franchisee, I emotionally get involved in their decision and what they're choosing and how they're going about, because again, it's like handing your child and saying, okay, raise them right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was interesting. Y'all know this story about, so I was driving to Cleveland, a couple months ago and literally stopped at like 6:40 at night and, went into a Five Guys. I was going to get some burgers and fries to just take to the hotel room and just chill. And I came out and I was like, I'll be darned. There's a Vicious Biscuit.
No, that's right.
I texted you.
That's
you a
right.
picture of
You
like
did.
the sign.
Which one?
That was an Akron.
It's 4 of them.
That was Akron.
I know, 4 signs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It was like the main, I just saw like the main shopping center sign or whatever. And it's like right off the 77 right there in Akron. And I was really curious because I had that same question, that you were talking about earlier, which is y'all very purposely went around the Carolinas with this brand, and so the brand could travel, a couple hours or whatever pretty easily, and then your first franchisee is sitting up here in Akron. Like, I was like, wow, I wonder how that's going to work, and sounds like it's working pretty well.
Well, I warned the team. I said, I've been in this for a while, and you try to start regionally, and then you kind of test the waters and get out into a different region. But we had so many requests from up north and Midwest to bring our brand there, and I was nervous. I was like, okay, we're really going to just come right out of the gate with our 8th location and test a completely different market, and it took off, and it was such a proof of concept to us. I mean, we did it by going into 5 completely different markets, as the franchisor, which no emerging brand really does.
Right.
And, we were 7 into it, and we had our mistakes. We hadn't had our failures, thank goodness, but we learned a lot. And from that knowledge and that data, from all the different designs we did through the kitchen, through everything, we really want to be ready so we can make sure the franchisees didn't make the same mistakes that we've already tested and proved and said, hey, here's what works. And don't do what we did over here. We can better value engineer your kitchen by, changing this or moving this or squeezing this. And so it's been great. It's the fun part about building a business, and it's also the very stressful part about building a brand.
It's interesting that you've had demand from the Midwest and the North. I mean, Biscuit's like, I think, Southern kind of thing, but it's traveling everywhere, huh?
It's because of where we are here. You have, when you look at a heat map or you look at a visitor map of where guests come from to our Mount Pleasant heritage location, they come from all over the United States.
Really?
And even internationally, right? We're on how many TikToks from the British famous TikTok. We have them trending out there all over the place. So people come to Charleston, and I think that's what's unique being a franchisor here is that you just have accessibility to far more people and exposure to different markets than you ordinarily would in any other market.
Such a great point. Okay, yeah, everybody comes to Charleston.
Everybody comes to Charleston, but same with Charlotte because it's in the airport and just it's finance driven. There's so many folks that travel into there. A lot of our rewards members that we partner with on other things like Marriott, we have so much data out of those because there's so many travelers that come through.
Well,
so
you have rewards with Marriott?
We do. We have a program with them.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm a Marriott guy. So.
There you go.
Okay, good.
But we get a lot of people internationally that come in and just regionally across the United States where they're coming into Charlotte because they're traveling, and that's how they find us because they're just inherent travelers. And so you have, because we're in all of these diverse markets, you have people that vacation to them and then they live elsewhere. So a lot of where we're developing is where we already know we have a concentric demand of visitors and awareness. So going into Akron, I remember when the first news article went out, there were thousands of comments of people that had already been to a Vicious Biscuit before. So that's just, it's part of the strategy. And Jacksonville is another one.
We get a lot of people when they said
franchise request too.
Yeah, they said I visited your Jacksonville location,
yeah.
and I was like, well, that's our lowest volume location. That's great.
Is it really? Jacksonville?
Yeah. Seasonal.
Well, it's just it's seasonal,
and
you don't really have that Monday through Friday traffic like we're so used to having because you know the people that live there will go back in and work, and you don't have the COVID traffic that was there. It's absolutely slammed during the weekends, but but we're also 50 yards from the ocean.
I've seen your location. It's right across from Mal's Pizza. Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
It's had a huge growth here, though.
It has.
Yeah. We just, as we open more restaurants, as we have more data to model against, we use it to inform. And this is really my point is I think a lot of emerging brands, we talk about technology. People talk about technology as a culture. It's not really what it is. Tech doesn't drive any culture. The culture is what supports whether the tech works or not.
Yeah.
And people, they'll throw in technology or they'll put together a tech stack because they think they're going to have an efficiency or then it's going to solve a problem. But a lot of people it's shelfware, right? I'm going to implement it. We didn't really implement it well because we don't have anybody experienced on the team to do so. And then they don't do anything with what that tech actually had a purpose to do if it had data out of it. So we're always using the data to inform whether it's marketing, whether it's real estate decisions, and or even operational, right? Menu engineering, ideation. So we're always using the data. So the more restaurants we open, the more we send it to our digital agency. Hey, this is where, look at the zip codes of where people are coming to our restaurant. Fill in and market to the ones where they don't. So that's what's helping us drive our growth too, is just using the data in a way that supports all of the verticals of the operation.
You have a tech background.
Mm-hmm.
You've been in hospitality for a few years now.
Just a few.
What is it about this industry that stuck for you?
I think it was somebody today I'm trying to think of what podcast I was listening to, but they hit it on the head, and it was that technology as a culture and a brand in any industry of that sort, it's very isolating. It's singular. It's one person coding. It's one person representing a function, and it's very isolating, whereas hospitality and the restaurant business is so collaborative.
It sure is.
And those are two very distinct cultures, and you feel like you're the part of something rather than just individually working on one piece. It's great that you have the reward of solving a problem and coming to a solution, but the reality is in technology, nobody else is celebrating it with you because they either don't understand it or it's something that you achieved independently by yourself. We're all the wins here. We share as a team. We share as a brand. And it's far more rewarding, I think.
And we share it with other brands.
That's as an industry.
That's true.
It was a podcast I sent you about Andrew Smith.
That's what it was.
And
okay. Yeah.
his tech background, but he nailed it is his conference, Restaurantology, is awesome to go to because it's real, it's raw. It's like what Amanda said about your podcast. I mean, you get out here and you talk, and it's about, hey, these are real life experiences. And most conferences you go to, it's like, oh, great, look at all the success we're having. Look how many we opened up this year. Look at all this. Look, everything's great. That conference is straight, just raw. Here's the mistakes I made. Here's what went wrong. Here's the things that you got to, it's learning from each other. We share ideas. Yeah. And, I mean, I collaborate with so many different brands all the time. And I'm like, okay, what would you do in this situation? Or how did this work for you? Or I'm thinking about doing this. It's a great kind of, I hate to use the term, fraternity, that you're sharing ideas and what works. Because, the old joke in the restaurant business a long time ago is there's no original thought in the restaurant industry. It's just just flip it in a different way. But it's just a great community to be in, or a great business to be in, where tech, they don't share ideas because they think you're going to steal it. It's
proprietary always. This is so collaborative.
So collaborative. Mm-hmm. It really is. It's a rising tide lifts all boats industry. And well, it's people that, I mean, the whole profession is around hospitality and giving to others. And it's sharing ideas is a part of that ethos, and helping each other is a part of that ethos. And it's why I love the industry so much. It's just a lot of people that really care, like personally and deeply, about what they do and what it means to the people that they work with and what it means to the people that they serve. And there is no other industry like that.
No, it's not.
So, all right. So you all have got a calm before the storm coming next year. You've got some serious growth next year. Congratulations on that.
Well, thank you.
Do you have any concerns about the number of locations that you're opening next year, or
no,
do you feel ready?
I don't, simply because I've seen the hypergrowth before in two different chains. And like I said, the old joke is, we'll build the plane while we fly it. I'm like, well, I'm a pilot. I'm not getting in a plane that isn't completely built before I fly it.
Yeah.
I think with our team that we have been able to, and this is why we wanted 7 locations first. This is why we'll continue to open corporate locations, to be able to support that growth, because it takes manpower. I mean, and we give a huge support. I mean, we're sending 5 people out for 2 weeks to open up a location. However, the last opening we had in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, where they've on the high tech side of creating the expand share and the training, and the 4 weeks that typically would take other brands 8 to 10 weeks to do training, we knock it out in 4 weeks. 2 weeks on, week off. When those guys come back, 2 weeks, the remaining 2 weeks, they're running our restaurants. So, like I said, the last opening, because we're always refining it every single time. After every opening, we're coming back and go, what can we do better? What can we be more efficient with? And there's always room for improvement. We'll never go, hey, we got it. It's always, okay, what could we do better? And I think with the training program we have now, it's top notch. And that's the biggest compliments we get. And even from, we have other operators from different franchises that have come into our training. And one of them was like, hey, I'm a part of this franchise over here. Could I send the franchisor to come through your training? And I'm like, no, that's a proprietary, and we're really busy. So
this is your training.
This is our training.
This is your training.
I mean, we have it. Okay. It's very systematic and it's very thorough. And I think, and we do it also to reduce our turnover, even with expand share with our hourly employees, is that, when we hire someone, we're like, look, you're going to go home and you're going to learn, you're going to know about what we're doing before you work your first minute in the restaurant. Because where we see turnover in hourly labor is they show up, you give them a shirt, they come out of the bathroom and they start working, and the next thing you know, they're like, well, I don't know what to do. And it's in today's world, especially the younger generation, when they're uncomfortable, they run. And
amen.
That's the thing that I kept saying to them. I was like, when we lose an employee, the first thing I say is, what did we do wrong? And they, well, I don't know. They just stopped showing up. okay, then what did we do wrong? Did you properly train them? Did you properly educate them before they get in there? Did you do an introductory to the business? And I said, guys, we got to get this training on. And, Amanda and her team did an awesome job by creating the expand share and the videos so people are there. And that goes over to our franchise training. Mm-hmm. And, we make sure that a franchisee has, if they're not the operator and they're not a very experienced operator, then they have to have a very experienced operator with them that is vested in the company to run their organization. And that has proven very successful for us. And so it doesn't scare me with the growth. We have a very diligent or systematic onboarding process when we have a franchisee come on, where when they sign on as a franchisee and we go through the real estate and we find a location, and then we go through we have a set LOI that we send to the landlord, then we go through lease negotiation, they sign the lease, we then go, okay, this is what, then we design the location with them, we show them how it's done. Once we get the permits there, we work with them finding a contractor, we go through and value engineer with them. And then when they start construction, we know when they're going to open. We ask the contractor, when you're going to get your CO. And then we add 2 weeks to that. And then we reverse engineer the timeline. And every week a franchisee, we're with their team and say, okay, this week you need to do this, this, and this. And then the next, and it's every week we have a 30-minute to now they, when they're getting closer to the opening, those go to about an hour-long call. And we go through all the checklists, because there's nothing worse than when you're about to open and you go, wait a second, did I order this, or did I get this correct license or permit, or did I, what did I forget? And this is things we've experienced the last 10 that we've opened up, with these 4 that are about to come back to back. I was on 2 of the calls today, and I'm just listening to them, and they said, okay, and Kate Bird is incredible. She's so organized. I always jokingly say when franchise meet her, I go, she reminds me of my 3rd grade teacher I still have nightmares about, that I wake up today and go, oh my gosh, I forgot to turn in that homework assignment. And she will hound you until you get that thing done. And if you don't get it done, nothing moves forward in that next week. And so we keep them on point. We're not joking when we say we are side by side with you when you open up a location, because it's nerve-wracking. There's so many moving parts, and as long as we can keep that playbook there for them and make sure we check every box, from just the smallest things, from tea urns to did you get the Coke machine to things you just never think about. Like I heard today, it was like, hey, did you guys get your data? Do you have data to the restaurant yet? And they're like, oh man, it's something you don't think about because it's either in the ground or coming overhead and you don't see it. Yeah. It's easy to forget it.
Yeah.
So, like I said, we're trying to prevent them to make the mistakes that we have. So, and look, time is your most valuable asset. You can always make money, but you can't make up time. Mm-hmm. And so we say that to them. It's like, look guys, a week delay in opening a restaurant is extremely costly. Yeah. And since we've implemented it in the last 5 that we've opened, we've nailed it within a week. And the only thing that, like if Mecklenburg County and Charlotte, hardest place to develop.
Is it really?
Oh, it's you just never know when you're going to get an inspection.
Or
so
pass it.
Or pass it, exactly. We had 27 inspections. Typically we have 4.
27?
She was 27 inspections. Oh, and I was like, all right. So, but if we find those areas, and we know them, and we have a great architectural firm that's licensed in all 50 states, and first conversation I'll have right when we go to the drawings and we got to build out this plan, Kate asks, how bad is this municipality? Like, how long does it take to get an inspection? And they're like, usually it's about a 2 to 3 week delay when you call it in to do an underground inspection. Well, then we say, okay, well, if that's the case, then we work with the contractor and say, when do you think you're going to finish underground? And they'll be like, 2 weeks from now. I'm like, well, go ahead and call them and get it on the books for that inspector to be there. Because if you wait until the guy's done, then you're shut down for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So you got to be very proactive and not reactive.
For those of you listening that don't know, Mecklenburg County's in Charlotte, where I live. So that's interesting.
I have built in a lot of states, and that one, wow.
Interesting. So it just, I was thinking, my mind kind of blanked for a minute there, but when we were talking about Florida, your location there, and what's happening with minimum wage there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, are there states where you're like, we probably shouldn't go there because the regulatory environment and the minimum wage environment is just the model breaks? I mean, are there?
Well, I have yes. I mean, I can't tell you how many franchise requests we've gotten from California or New York. New York's not a very friendly franchise, and it's very expensive to do it there. Eventually, we'll go there as a corporate location. California, I don't know. It's nowhere in the near future. And I mean, I'm not kidding you. I got one just the other day. Florida is, like I say, experienced operators understand that have units in multi-states. If they were just after the brunch business and said, okay, brunch, you got to pay 15, but if you're fast food, you can pay 7. That's not the case. So in Florida, inherently, they just realize, hey, it's now a $28 hamburger, or it's a, God knows what for a steak or, a biscuit. Everybody has to rise. And so I don't get as nervous, because if you were just singled out in a certain category, that's one thing. Now, California did do that with fast food to full service. And so there's a big debate and lawsuit about that. But, I was just listening to a podcast the other day about, actually, what podcast was, the news about why did McDonald's pull out of the National Restaurant Association? It was because they were like, we don't take tips. Why are you penalizing us? Why are y'all? We're not going to pay money to fight this fight, because if the fight doesn't,
They pulled out of the National Restaurant Association?
Yeah, they did.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So, well, that's what the guy said on the news, because it shocked me as well.
Wow. Okay.
And so, so it's, again, the other challenge in Florida is, well, one, real estate is very expensive, but 2 is insurance has tripled. So, and Florida, and then on the coastline of Texas, it is more than tripled in cost. Same building we have here in Mount Pleasant is 3 times less than the same building we have in Jacksonville.
Really?
Yeah, it's out. It's
but you're in the hurricane zone too.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's just
actually probably more so than Jacksonville.
Well, yes, because Jacksonville historically always gets skipped, and South Carolina, North Carolina get smacked. But then recently you've had so many come up through the Gulf. I mean, Helene, which was it hit every single one of our restaurants.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Wow.
In 3 different states.
Oh gosh, you were up in Boone, aren't you?
Oh yeah,
we were. Yes.
And we're just now recovering in Boone.
Really?
Yeah.
It's been a great year, the recovery for Boone and the Blowing Rock area.
Boone and Blowing Rock are awesome areas, but they
were decimated last year.
You're not in Asheville though, are you?
No.
Okay.
No, just Boone.
Yeah. Okay, so they're recovering well.
Recovering very well. I mean, we were very fortunate after Helene. We were open within, I think, 3 days. We took on very little damage, aside from mud in the parking lot and a little bit of water damage. The largest challenge, and I've spoken to other restaurateurs in that market, was the school, the students left. Mm-hmm. So your workforce population dissipated with the recovery efforts, but there were so many folks that needed to eat, from those that were in town, those without power, the linemen. So we sent our corporate team up there. So not only corporately did we do a North Carolina brand fund, everybody participated and we donated proceeds to the relief there, but we also sent our corporate team up there, and they just ran takeout for the folks of the Boone Blowing Rock area and all the workers for several weeks, but for several months after that, right. we weren't primarily dine-in. We were mostly takeout.
Okay. Do you don't have any drive-throughs?
We do.
Right.
No,
is that part
we're going to test a pickup window.
Okay.
Because again, every order is, we're a scratch-made kitchen.
Yeah.
And every order is made to order.
Yeah.
And we don't, the only thing that we would pre-bake is we bake the biscuits, and it takes us 24 hours to make our grits. But no, we're going to test a pickup window, and there's some rules in certain states that you can't have a pickup window and serve alcohol, because we still sell a lot of mimosas and
right.
But there is other municipalities like Baton Rouge. We're looking at one right now because they have a drive-through daiquiri bar. So, I'm just like, well, if there's any place we could test it, it'd be here. So, and no, we're not adding daiquiris to the Vicious Biscuit menu. So,
okay. All right.
We're primarily, though, again, dine-in first, so we always cater to that experience and focus on that because that is our primary sales revenue.
So y'all both listen to a lot of podcasts, it sounds like.
We do.
Yeah.
The whole team does.
The whole team does.
Mm-hmm.
We encourage it. I mean, we send out, what is it, once a week?
Our newsletter.
And the newsletter, we always want to educate our employees. Because the most rewarding thing to me in this business is not just how many restaurants we can open or how successful we can be, but it's really the growth of our employees and giving them the same opportunity I gave. Like I said, I've been in here for 30 years. I see employees that I had when I was 23 years old now today that have a successful business and families, and they go, man, you taught me what it was like to communicate in the public and to understand business. You can't put a monetary value on that. It's just rewarding. So, that's the cool part about this business.
So many things are going very well right now. What's the biggest challenge y'all have facing you?
Well, real estate. We're still in a challenging market for employment. I think because of us doing the expansion and educating our employees gives us a higher retention rate. I think distribution, no matter what you try, even though we have very few signature SKUs, so distribution should be easy for us because, like I said, when you walk into our restaurant, you see the Metro Shelf. It's one Metro Shelf of dry stack. We make so much with so little, but it doesn't matter because your distributor might have a problem with hiring the right drivers and their trucks aren't showing up late. I mean, there's always something new every day. And then, I don't know.
For me, it's scale and infrastructure. It's the human infrastructure.
Yeah.
We're scaling. When you think about where we are, unit count size, where we are about to go. I think we have been gearing up for this for a long time. We're ready for it, but it's taken years to build. It's taken a lot of time, effort, sweat, blood, tears, and we've done it with a really small team. So I think that's the greatest challenge is that at some point your resources become a little bit limited, especially when they're homegrown, when you get to this scale and you're ready for the next growth model to get you to the next echelon of this business.
All right, Amanda, you say blood, sweat, tears. You're both of y'all are very sharp. You're very good operators. You're very good balance. But have you had times where you're just like, how are we going to pull this off?
Oh, yeah.
Plenty of them.
Oh, God, yeah.
I think absolutely. When we spoke to you just a year ago, I was reflecting back on that before you came today. And I thought, what's the nugget? Because that's always my goal of these. What nugget can I give somebody can take away from here? And I thought we had just went through Akron. That was one. But what you realize is you have to evolve the brand so much when you're the franchisor. And there were times as I saw the first one open and you see what that communication and what the needs of a franchisee are. And then you realize there's two more about to open in the pipeline and you're thinking, okay, I need to add more bodies or I need to add more tech solutions or they're asking me questions I don't have the answer to. How am I going to get that answer? How am I going to support them? Because that is our number one job as the franchisor. We are support. That's it. It's not about us just collecting a royalty. That is beyond tertiary at this point. It is how do we provide support to them? How are we the rooted foundation? How are we the one that they go to for all things so that they feel supported? Because that's where I think that most franchisors fail. So when I hear a lot of these emerging concepts and, oh, I have a proof of concept, I have great AUV, I have a great operator, we can franchise. It is not even remotely that simple. You need more than just technology infrastructure. You need real resources to troubleshoot that know the business. You need to have great relationships with your vendor partners. You need to have a scalable marketing solution because guess what? If their volume is down or they have a bad week, the first one they're coming to you is you to say, how are you going to help me drive business? Or this cost is out of control because we've had an egg crisis, which we were fortunate about. That's just an example. But they come to you with questions that you have to find solutions for. And then as you scale too, they have input, right? They're in the operations, they're day to day. We're sitting back here in a corporate office. we have to answer to them, and some of them come up with great solutions. Some of them we can't say yes to because it just has a broader impact to the system. So I think there's been many iterations over the last year where we've had to step back and make difficult decisions for the best of the brand. Mm-hmm. That comes down to people decisions as you scale. You need different type of talent as you scale. So that pushes others in, pushes others out. I mean, there's just a lot of difficult decisions that come at this growth model. Mm-hmm. There's serious investments that have to be made. You have to combat all types of economics. As you know, most restaurants are down right now.
Yeah.
And, for us to be where we are, it was not without, I was challenged last year. I had several individuals come to me and say, you need to get to X by this year, or you need to have these key results. And to get a team of folks at this level motivated behind your key results and to keep them accountable to them, and then to smash those key results, it is not without considerable effort. And it's been a team effort. We have a tremendously successful and dedicated team that love this brand just as much as its founders do. But it's been challenging at times. If anybody tells you otherwise, they're lying.
Yes.
Well, this is why we do this, right? Because look, people need to hear this side too. There's a guy, I'm not going to say his name, but I follow him on LinkedIn. He's in the tech space. He's an entrepreneur. Very positive guy, puts a lot of great stuff on LinkedIn, but he put this video up the other day. It broke my heart. He's like, people always put all these great things on here, and then you start thinking like, well, what am I doing wrong? Like everybody's like, I'm the one doing that. And he goes, but to be honest with you, my life is in total shambles. I'm going through a divorce, and I'm terribly sad, and I was like, oh my gosh. Like I called him, and we've been keeping up, but like podcast, media, all that stuff, it's got to be, you have to hear that the other side of all the success and everything else. People need that just to feel like, okay, at least I'm not the only one like dealing with all this stuff, right? Mm-hmm. It matters. It's important.
That podcast, you've done well over 600 podcasts.
Yeah.
We could cover 600 podcasts in the blood, sweat, and tears that she mentions for us to get where we are today, feel like we are today. But you ask me tomorrow, and it's another challenge. Mm-hmm. Just because we're seeing really good lift in our sales and all that came at a cost. And it is, we always say the beauty of Vicious Biscuit is you manage one shift and it's 7 to 3. Well, when our managers are going home, it's, getting home at 3:30, we're still working at this office till 6, 7 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of planning and preparation and forward thinking that, this team has to do. I mean, we have 6 people in our office, soon to be 8 or 9 people, because we have to have those people first before we open those others. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's a lot of sacrifice. It's not easy. I'm going to tell you this right now. And I will tell you, the one thing that, I learned from really talking to other CEOs that were like, hey, emerging brands that get out, and you hear it more now than ever on different podcasts, is a franchise that was just 2 units and goes out in franchises are usually the ones that are going to fail pretty badly. Right. Now, there are the crazy success stories of the very simple brands that go out there and do it. But it's you got to have the team, and you got to have the support to be able to do it. And that takes a lot of effort and a lot of time to train, to adapt, to be very versatile to the situations that you're going to face. Because like I said, one thing I said to Amanda and to the others that did not come from the restaurant business and they came into this business, I said, man, you just when you think you've seen it all, it'll wake up and bite you. It'll be there the next morning, and you'll be like, what? I never thought I'd see that. I mean, I just had that situation just the other day in one of our developments, and I was like, never saw that coming.
Yeah.
So.
I'll tell you just very briefly, mine this year was the online ordering and loyalty rollout.
Yeah.
I think it's the first time I ever said I took on something probably a little bigger than I could chew. Yeah. And not because of the tech side of it. We had the right support. We had a really great plan. We go through project management iterations. We have our Gantt chart. We know what our timeline is. We have great onboarding practices. But what you can never account for, and it doesn't matter what part of this business it is, it's the human component of it. Mm-hmm. When it got to the point, so here it is, right? We've built this great tech solution. Let's pilot test it. Mm. The pilot test was only supposed to be 2 weeks. And I can't tell you the restraint it took to pilot test it for 12.
12?
To do it right. Yep.
Yeah, okay.
To do it right. And it took a lot of patience. There were a lot of long evenings for myself, my team, for the fractional service vendors that we used to make sure that we came up with solutions. And I think that's where a lot of people fail as well. They're afraid to be patient.
Yeah.
They're afraid to train properly. They're afraid of the optics because, you announce something and, this is what we're working towards, and they're afraid to pull it back because it looks like a failure. Mm-hmm. The only time it's a failure is when you don't do it correctly.
Right.
I think that was the biggest takeaway from me this year was have to be patient and really lean into your team and your operators, because when you're franchising, it's a lot easier to roll something out with your corporate locations, because at the end of the day, you have control of that. But when it impacts a franchise system, you have a fiduciary responsibility. You feel an emotional connection to them because you've given them your brand. But this is also their livelihood. They have families. And the way that our franchise system is, we know their families. We've met their kids. We've met their parents, their grandparents. We've celebrated with them. So you feel this responsibility towards them. And there were some tough times this year where I was not sure if I had made the right decision, if this was the appropriate go forward time, if the team could handle it, if we could train it, if we could execute it. But then on the other side of it is that when we did, it was so rewarding to everybody involved.
I bet so. So you really are dialed in. I'm very proud of y'all and grateful for y'all that you do it this way, because there are a lot of franchisors that grow for the sake of growth, collect royalties, and then, there's one the stories I heard about what the franchisees were left holding the bag when the founders got out. And
oh yeah,
it's
happens a lot.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Sold not open is not a strategy.
Sold not open. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it is for many.
It is.
I always love those ones where like, hey, we got 4 locations, but we've sold over 100. And I'm like, yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah.
That is, we'll read about you in a couple of years that you no longer exist.
Mm-hmm.
That's what scares me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
What, you've had 1,000 or so phone calls with franchisees. If somebody's listening to this and they're thinking, I'm an experienced franchise operator, or maybe they're not, whatever, but they're like, I like this brand. What do you say? Like, what are the things that you've had so many you've talked to, and you've only got, a small number that have made the, made the grade. What are the most important things that they need to bring to the table?
Well, let me first clarify that the 1,000 or so, or it's been over 1,000 requests, probably had over 200 calls.
Okay.
So you can, you'll filter
out. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, we have some strong, I wouldn't say standards, but qualifications you need to have. And we'll send out an email and say, really appreciate it, but if you would like to, have, because you got to have the financial backing to it.
Yeah.
It takes money to open up a business. Yeah. But more is really the call about, you first and foremost is how engaged are they at the very beginning of the conversation of, mm-hmm. Hey, I love your brand. I've been to it. And now my calls are pretty quick when I say, hey, how'd you hear about us? Well, I read about you in whatever publication, or I heard you on a podcast, or I heard something like that. And I was like, if you haven't, I said, why don't you do this? Why don't you visit a location?
Yeah.
Talk to our managers, talk to our people. And then if you still love it, call me back. Because I can sit here and try to sell you on it, but it needs to sell itself on you. Mm. And then from then, when they've done that and they've come and visited, they've visited one of our locations and they call back and they have some conviction about it, I then really get into that to the person and their beliefs and how they lead their people. If they're qualified, I mean, if they already have other restaurants, I'll secretly go visit them before they ever come to a discovery day and say,
really?
Yeah. And you talk to the managers, you look, are there people happy in their restaurants they already run and all that. And that will determine sometimes whether we invite them to discovery day.
Okay.
And then we've had some that have passed that test and have come into our discovery day and we said, hey, are you going to be the operator? No, I got a certain operator that's going to come in and run it for me. We bring that operator in for a 2 or 3 day immersion day, and our employees get to evaluate them. Because if we realize they're not a people person, and it's just a number to them, and it's just another portfolio business they can add to theirs, that's not protecting my franchisees that have really invested their life savings into open one. Okay. And because that's just, I was that guy. I mean, I was 23 when I started, and I don't need somebody to come in and just go, well, we'll open one and see if it works, but we're not going to give it 100%. I tell everybody when we're in the discovery day, at the end of that discovery day, we say, look, you need to interview us just as much as we're going to interview you, and we're not going to give you an answer today. We want you to go home, think about it. We'll contact you in about 4 or 5 days, and if you still have that 100% desire and passion to do it, then we'll go to the next level. But again, we have one board member to answer to, and that's me to protect all my partners in this business that have, put their blood, sweat, and tears into it. And and I got to protect our franchisees. Yeah. They're my partners. Yeah. And if I go and find them a bad partner that goes and opens up and, I don't know, just, Georgia somewhere and they fail, it could hurt my franchisee's investment that's in Alabama or Mississippi or Baton Rouge. And to add to that, we're very involved with our franchisees, and we will continue to be that. That's what we're talking about, the human capital that, our franchise business leaders, we talk to them every week, and we go through their numbers with them and say, what questions do you have? Well, I feel like our food costs is, dairy might be a little high. Well, what are you making? What are you throwing out? Are you using the metrics we have in place to truly watch every single penny that you're spending? And they're like, oh, yeah, I forgot to do that. So we tell our franchisees, you give me 6 straight months of operating the way we trained you, then come to me with ideas. Like, don't come right out of the gate, because why are you buying a franchise? Go just start your own. Yeah. We have invested millions, if not, I think we were joking about it's over $10 million in just people and locations and, building out platforms and technology to make sure they're successful. So just follow the system. Yeah. And then after 6 months of operating, then come back to us and say, hey, have you ever thought about this? Yeah. Or because it takes that long to really get through a season or two of your business, to go through the seasonality of sales, to where you change your scheduling, or you change your ordering and all that, to where you really say, okay, this really is a live business every single day. It's not manufacturing. This is immediate gratification from your customer, and it can change just as quick as the weather can change. And so after that 6 months, man, I'm all ears. And we've already learned some really cool stuff. And and it's been great. You franchise to build a brand correctly, right? And learn from them. And if you don't listen to we were talking about this the other day. I mean, the franchisor should never sit at the top. It's always at the bottom, and everybody's on our shoulders, And that's where we got to be to make sure that we're giving them support and they're successful. And we have to say no a lot. I mean, we've had plenty. I mean, I can think of 4 right now that said, I want this right in my neighborhood. And I'm like, yeah, you were born in the country. And I was like, we need that Monday through Friday. We want that synergy. Here's where you need to go. You're going to be a little bit farther away from your house, and it's proved to be successful that way. So you got to be a really good parent and say no to the child.
There you go.
It really is, because each one of them is a new child. Yeah. I'm not being, derogatory to any of our franchisees that we have, but it truly is, because it's their first time riding the bike. Yeah. And you're immediately taking the training wheels off and saying, we're not saying good luck. We're right beside them, holding the handlebars until we know they can go off on their own.
Yep. Yep.
So
I love the way you are doing this. Last thing. Have we not, is there anything we should have covered we haven't covered? Anything we need to talk, anything you all wanted to talk about that we haven't talked about?
Well, we could talk about your flip phone.
I love my flip phone.
You can't download our
It is
app.
pretty cool. I swear I'm going back to that.
This thing, I've had this for 5 years now, 5 years and 3 months. I've probably dropped it 50 times, 100 times.
I'm probably on my 7th iPhone.
That's the thing.
I know. It's unbelievable.
But it's funny because, we were talking earlier about Jeff, who was on here from Jeff's Bagel Run, and his business partner is a guy from U-Break iFix. And
Right.
made a lot of money doing that.
Right.
Those things break
Exactly.
a lot.
Especially
It was
for
a
kids.
Yeah, it was a cool story. He literally was in college and he broke his screen and he was like, I think I could fix that myself. And he did. And he was like, but other people might want.
Exactly.
What a cool story. But, well, then I think the last thing I would ask y'all to do, I'm trying to remember this lately. I think it's kind of cool. Either or both of y'all can answer this. Is like, if you had a bunch of your guests, your customers listening right now to this story and you had an opportunity to, or imagine you're sitting on a stage and all your customers are out there, like what would you say to them, your customers?
First immediate response is thank you.
Mm.
I mean, thank you for the support. Thank you for all the incredible reviews and understanding because, look, every day is a new day. You're not always perfect. We try to be. We screw up. And we have to be, and we're very patient. But to our customers, and the loyalty and the brand, the followers, the brand ambassadors. I was in Denver Airport and I saw a Son of a Biscuit shirt, and I was like, wow, there's our brand. And one of our franchisees, who's not even open yet, was wearing a backpack in Dallas, and a guy walked past him in the airport and says, you've been a Vicious Biscuit. It's really cool. So we got to say, I can't say thank you enough to our customers because that's who makes it for us. That is who has supported us and made us where we are today. So after that, I don't know. I think I would be speechless being able to have that ability to thank everyone.
Love it. Love it.
I would say the same. I mean, we wouldn't exist if not for them. My only other add to Topspin would be we really do listen to them.
Mm.
We want them to know that we listen to what their feedback is, and it doesn't get lost in a void somewhere. We respond to it, react to it, we ideate to it. So they're the reason we're in this business. They're the reason we're driving this growth. So we want to continue to hear their feedback, what they want, what makes them keep coming back, what they'd love to see, and what they don't like, because we can help affect and inform and change that as well. So that their feedback is vitally important, and we appreciate their patronage.
This is why I always answer before she does.
That was so good, y'all. I want to close with saying, we talked about this being a collaborative industry. We try to put out content that educates and inspires people. This is a highly educational and highly inspiring. And then what the listeners should know that you all are doing is that I love this so much. So I don't know, like a month ago, I had this guy on the podcast named Tyler Kotch. Mm-hmm. He's got this great concept called Pie's Eye. He's up in Asheville. He's in Charlotte. He's looking to come down to Charleston, and then he eventually wants to franchise. And sharp dude. And I was like, he was asking me, he's like, who are some people I should, know? Or I was like, go listen to the Vicious Biscuit episode. That's the number one, like, go listen to that. And he did. He's like, I want to build my business just like them. I want to get to know them. Can you connect me with them? And then I asked you, I was like, I'm coming down there. Like, this guy, like, could he come? And you were like, heck yeah. So here y'all are inviting this guy to come in and learn and soak up knowledge, and you're paying it forward. And that's what is one of the great things about this industry is, you're right. Like tech, everything's like, oh, it's, and like, here's a guy. I mean, he's not it's not like it's another biscuit guy, but I mean, it's another operator, and you're taking what you've learned and here you're going to share it with him. And we're going to go, and then we're going to dinner tonight at Hall's Chop House, which I've never been to, and I can't wait.
Wow.
And you introduced me to Tommy Hall, who's going to come on this podcast with his brother next week. Right. And like, I just love the relationships and the connections and the people in this industry. I say this all the time. There is, as a supplier or a vendor, there is no better industry to serve. I can tell y'all 18 years at Schedule Fly. And you can imagine, my cell phone number's on that way. I get a lot of phone calls over those years. I can literally only think of 2 times in 18 years where somebody was like kind of ugly to me on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
A lot of times it's like where we may have screwed up, mainly me. Like somebody will call and give me, billing info and I forget to put it in. They'll call back. I'm like, oh my God. And they're like, dude, it's all good. Like, Who does that? Who does that? Nobody does. Most people are pissed when they call. It's like hospitality people, man. It's like it's just constant giving. It's giving themselves to their team, to their customers, even to their vendors. I'm like, golly, like I'd kind of be pissed if I were you right now. And they're like, it's all good, man. Like, what a great industry to serve. What a great industry of people. One of our largest workforces in the country, and we're better off for it. And I love the industry so much. So thank you all for the opportunity to be here. Again,
thanks for having us.
Another great episode.
Thanks for coming down.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we look forward to meeting.
Thanks for sharing our story.
Absolutely. Well, we'll do it again next year because we'll have a lot of things to talk about then, right?
I'm a little older, a little grayer.
A lot grayer.
Yeah. Thank you all for listening. Please, I'm remembering this every time now, which is cool. Give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you are, because the more of those ratings we get, the more people get to hear this content because those algorithms look at that kind of stuff. And we're in the top 5 restaurant podcasts for restaurant owners. 5 is great. We'd like to be a little higher. So give us some ratings and keep listening. We got more episodes coming soon. See y'all.